Right then, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at what is in my bag. Now lots of people have been requesting this. People want to know, what things do I carry around with me on a typical day out? Well, let's start off with a day out within the UK when I carry more stuff because, well, I'm coming home each day so I can take some more weight because this all gets really heavy. Look at all this metal work. So let's start off. Triangle key, nice big beefy long triangle key, slotted drop key for all the tower block lifts, little tiny triangle key which is very rarely used, like as for those Otis security slot triangle doors. So yeah, I don't really need that one. Okay, double drop key. Why do I take double drop rather than a regular drop? This is the non-slot doors. This is on the old-fashioned GAL doors. Why do I take double drop? Well, a regular drop, often the lift goes past, they put a key in, bangs into it, which is why double drop is better. So you've also got car preference keys, more car preference keys, got fire keys for the tower blocks and the girder keys for motor rooms, square key, U key, V key, battery, asbestos mask and a torch. But it's so much weight, I have to start limiting myself because do I need all of this? Well, if I'm not urbexing, well, I don't need the asbestos mask for starters, so I get rid of that one. Do I really need, like, well, double drop? How often do you find the unslotted drop key doors? Occasionally, not too often. V key, like that's not even long enough for some lifts. Some lifts just need twice the length for that to open it. Like, if I don't take that, it'll be very frustrating if I come across a V-key lift. I'd have to return at a later date, which would be annoying. But at the same time, it's very annoying taking around like this long in my bag. Okay, let's leave that one out. So we can start to get rid of the stuff we don't need, like long triangle key. Like, come on, I don't really need that. I could take crucifix. Or I could take even less weight if I take my little tiny triangle key. But those cone doors are very stiff to open. That leverage you get on that opens the doors much easier. Like, you can use this one, but it does make your hand hurt. But if I'm trying to save a bit of weight, here we go. I've got less items now. That will save me quite a bit of weight. But now let's talk about when I go abroad. Because when I'm abroad, I really do need to cut down the amount of weight which I take. So, double drop key. Well, if I'm going to America, yes, but generally in Europe and Africa, like, when do you need drop keys now? So I'm getting rid of that one. I can get rid of this drop key. Okay, I saved quite a bit of weight. Then I can swap out all these car preference keys for a smaller set. I made a smaller set for doing things, I don't know, if I'm going to get caught by a police somewhere, I want to have less keys with me. But also it's good for weight saving, so I can swap out all those keys for a smaller set. I've got different sets by the way for what activity I'm doing, so I've come prepared. Like tower block girders, like, yeah, I'm not going to need those abroad, so but I can leave those behind. So you can see already it's getting quite a bit smaller. Oh yeah, don't need U key abroad. Square key, depends what I'm doing, but I probably won't need that. So there you go, quite a bit less. Oh, big heavy torch is a really nice torch, but it's just so heavy. I know, let's swap it out for a decathlon torch, which is pretty good actually, but quite a bit smaller. So there you go, I've saved quite a bit of weight. But next thing is, I then have to take things with me for going abroad. Because when I'm going abroad, you need certain things which you wouldn't need if you're in the UK. So let's now take a look at the size of bags. So this here is a typical size bag which you're allowed on Ryanair for free. It's a nice colour, it's quite a big bag. Well, I think it's big. A lot of people would say, that's not big enough for a week abroad. How can I go abroad for a whole week with a bag that size? Well, actually, when I go abroad, often I'm taking a bag even smaller. I take this little tiny bag. Like, look how small that is. A week abroad with this tiny bag. How do I do it? Well, let's take a look. And the reason why I use the very small bags for weight saving, especially if I'm going city to city. So if I'm going, like, I don't know, a trip across Morocco, I start off in one part of Morocco, then I'll go on trains to travel all across the country, staying in a different hotel each night. It gets very exhausting, especially when I've got cystic fibrosis, to carry around loads of weight with me when doing these trips. So I really have to limit myself very thoroughly to having as little weight as possible. Another thing worth mentioning is it really depends on what activity I'm going to do abroad. If I'm doing lots of URBEX, such as going down a railway tunnel, something quite dirty, I'll take a grey bag, because I wouldn't want to be getting this bag dirty, because it's a nice colour, that could get dirty very easily. Also, if I'm going camping, now that is a big problem with Ryanair's limits, because well, that's just the undercover for my hammock. I'm going to get onto my hammock and how much space that takes up and how do I get on Ryanair later on. But first, before I get into that, let's assume a regular non-camping trip. So I'm not taking my camping stuff, it's a basic trip for a whole week with this tiny bag. How can I fit an entire week's worth of stuff into this tiny little bag? Well, let's pack this bag and find out. So, car preference keys, got torch, these are all the absolute essentials, little tiny triangle key, battery. Then you've got the extra stuff you have to take when going abroad, which is foreign plug. You have to obviously take a passport. Oh no, it's the fucking Brexit passport, fucking cunts. Okay, so that's starting off. My bag's already a bit full, but the thing of most people thinking, what about all of the clothes you'd have to take? Well, if I'm going abroad for a week, generally speaking, I wouldn't need that many clothes. I might need to change the clothes once and at a time, but I could buy the clothes when I'm out there, especially if I'm going somewhere cheap like Morocco. I might want to get some clothes anyway, just for fun while I'm there, so I don't need to take any clothes, but I would need to take socks and pants and stuff like that, because that's like essentials. Plus, if I don't change my socks each day, my feet get very sweaty. Well, that's 5 pairs, so I think we'll manage just about for a week. I'm taking the smallest set possible, like tiny socks, but still, compared to the small size of a bag, it's now really filling up my bag. Also, airports used to give out these bags, which are excellent for dirty wash. I put my dirty socks in there, wet swim shorts, but they no longer give these out because they switched to CT scanner, which is really annoying because these are really useful. Then the next thing is, when I'm abroad, I like to go swimming. Usually I'm sneaking into loads of different buildings when I'm abroad, like lots of hotels, and some of these hotels have pools, so I need to bring swimming shorts. Goggles as well. Do I really need goggles? Are they essential? Guess not. Okay, I can save some weight by not taking those. I take the smallest, lightest pair of swimming shorts I can just to save on weight. Okay, next thing. Some things are country specific, like North Italy fire key. When we go to North Italy, I can't miss that because I need that to get all the motoriums over there. But I'm not going to Italy today, so I don't need that one. But my next big issue is the amount of medication I have to bring. Like, I've got cystic fibrosis, so this pot of tablets lasts 2.5 days. It's got 100 tablets in there. I take 40 of these a day. So if I'm going a week, I'm going to have to take like 3 pots. That takes up a lot of space in my bag. That is not good. Okay, next, or can be, for almost a cure for cystic fibrosis. Okay, I don't need to take that whole bag. I'm going to take one of these. If I really want to save weight, I pop the tablets out and then just put the tablets individually into my bag. That will save weight a bit, but customs at different border controls don't like it if you just bring a random pot of medication. What is that? A pot of drugs? So generally, it's better to leave it in the packaging. And then I've got evening or can be. I've got calcium tablets. I've also got vitamins. You can see my bag fills up very fucking quick with all of this. Okay, let's put all of this into my bag now. But there's another item I need to take, and that is hearing protection, because I find aeroplanes too loud. And I think that's like an Asperger's thing. So I've got hearing defenders here, something that Richard Tice seems to hate.
The sight of children in classes wearing ear defenders, I'm sorry, this is just insane. It's got to stop.
Fuck Richard Tice, you fucking cunt. Please do not vote for reform and let that idiot in charge. That is going to take up probably the rest of the space in my bag. Alternatively, I could take noise cancelling headphones and use active noise cancelling instead, which is a bit of a trade-off because active noise cancelling seems to work a bit better, especially on airplanes which have very low frequency engines. See, those are slightly smaller, but if they run out of battery, then I'm a bit screwed compared to the ear defenders. Also, I do not like wireless items, so this here is the last model of Bose headphones ever made with active noise cancelling that are not wireless. And that brings me on to the next subject. Things that when I'm travelling would like to exist but don't exist, and that is active noise cancelling in small earphones. Think about all the weight I could save carrying something this size, really small, with active noise cancelling. It means I wouldn't have to carry that. Whoops, I wasn't meant to have that or that. But all the ones with active noise cancelling are like it's Apple shit, where it's actually fake Apple, so it doesn't even work properly. But those are active noise cancelling, tiny little pieces of shit, look how small they are, and they're wireless. I do not like wireless items at all. These ones are fake, so the active noise cancelling barely works in it. But then you have to charge it back in the case regularly, so it won't manage a whole long flight. Then you could lose those. You've got the issue of having wireless right next to my head, which I just don't like. Why can't they make a wired version? I know the obvious answer, because the connector won't have power. But in the modern day, they're getting rid of these connectors, replacing it with USB-C. Why can't you have a USB-C version with a wire with active noise cancelling? Why does that not exist? It's technologically feasible. There's no reason why you could not have little earphones connected to USB-C with active noise cancelling. Yet that product doesn't really seem to exist in a meaningful way, which is really annoying. So for now, I probably have to take these ear defenders, which are quite big, which is quite heavy in my bag, but that's kind of an essential. And that makes this bag about full. So that is my bag for taking abroad. The issue is, I also have to take food and drink, and I'll get a little bit more food in there, like when I'm getting on the Ryanair plane, yeah, you can get a little bit of food in there, but you can see it is quite tight. So, as you can see, my bag is pretty full, and I'm just adding in this little voiceover because I forgot a couple of things. I forgot to pack my underwear, which will take up some more space. I've also not included all the food I'd have to take, should take up even more space, and then I've also forgotten my surf camera, which is like a little GoPro, which I use for either filming swimming pools or for filming train surfs. So as you can see, my bag is pretty full, but nevertheless, I kept the weight down as much as possible. I don't think there's anything I've packed I could leave out. All of the stuff I've included is pretty much essential. So then, to conclude, my bag is pretty heavy. Well, saying that, it's still very light compared to most other Pils bags. But I promise I often go city to city on a trip, like a trip across multiple different places. So I'm staying in a different hotel each night, meaning I have to carry around my bag. So I want it as light as possible so I don't get tired. And because of my cystic fibrosis, I do get tired a lot. And even with this very small bag, I often still get tired from the weight. So, for the rest of this video, I'm now going to talk about things that don't exist that would really help me on my trips abroad. Things that, technologically speaking, could easily exist, but don't. So if there's anyone out there making products, here's some product ideas for you. Such as a bag where the zip is not on the front or in a normal zip location, but on the back. The back of the bag that goes against my back. Because then I wouldn't have to worry about people stealing from me. When I carry around my bag, one of the reasons it gets me tired is because I don't wear my bag properly. Because I'm scared that if I put a bag on my back how it's meant to be carried, which is a lot easier to carry it, that someone's going to come and pickpocket me. So I always carry my bag with one arm and I have it wrapped around so no one can steal. But that tires me out because it puts weight on my shoulder. It takes more effort having to carry around a bag in an inconvenient way. If the zip was at the back of the bag where no one could get to it when I was wearing it, that means I could put it on my back properly, which should make me less tired. But I can't find any bags with that design anywhere on the internet. The next thing that'd really help me is if there was a swim device camera. Because when I go to Spain, I go swimming in the sea. I don't want to take my bag with me and leave it on the beach. It'll get stolen. But the thing is, I could leave my bag in the hotel room and my phone in the hotel room, but then what do? I'm going out without a phone. That's fine if I'm just doing a quick trip to a beach and going back to my hotel. But what if I want to go quite a distance? I can't go far without my phone. But that's why, if there was a swim phone, that would help. A small gadget, doesn't have to be anything special. I don't want anything that's super expensive, because I know there's all these diving computer things top of the range. I'm not interested in that. I'm just all about saying super cheap, just to keep you connected to the outside world and the internet while you're swimming. Basically, just imagine a GoPro with a phone built in. So you can use it as a GoPro to film what you're doing. At the same time, you can make a phone call in an emergency if you get stuck in the sea, or you could use it as a map, or if in one day when you've got AI voice assistants, you could simply ask it. It doesn't even need a screen. Imagine a GoPro with an extra button that you can press just to ask it something like, where do I go to get the bus back to my hotel? Something like that, something simple, because that would mean I could travel further distances without a phone. So GoPro, if you're watching this, please make a camera with a built-in phone and navigation and GPS system, as that actually solve one of the biggest inconveniences, which is a real problem, which is having to take my phone with me and leave it on the beach, because I generally do not like doing that. Fully waterproof submersive phone, which by the way, most waterproof phones are not fully waterproof. They say they are, but they're not. But if a proper GoPro level phone existed, which is waterproof, that would seriously help me. Now, the final thing which should exist, but doesn't, which should save me a lot of weight, is thermal t-shirt and thermal shorts. This is something that doesn't exist anywhere. I've looked all over the internet. You can either get thermal trousers, which are really warm, really nice, or you can get lightweight shorts to keep you cool. And also, you cannot get thermal t-shirts. T-shirts are always a very lightweight material. The issue is you get a lot of change in temperature. Sometimes it could be really cold, other times it can be boiling hot. And I don't want to take around two sets of clothes for hot days and cold days, as that increases the amount of weight I'm taking. If only there was an item of clothing that could both keep you warm when it's cold outside and at the same time also keep you cool when it's hot outside. Now, it sounds impossible, but I thought up an idea for an item of clothing that would literally do that. thermal shorts. Because when you get hot, your heat escapes from your body at the ends of your arms and the ends of your legs. That's where most of the heat comes out. When you get cold, your body draws in the heat. So a pair of shorts would solve that issue. You're still allowing your body to cool down when it's hot, but at the same time you're allowing it to retain heat when it's cold. What about making a pair of shorts out of that material? That would solve the issue. Because then, is a pair of shorts, it'd keep you cool in hot weather. Because when it's hot, your body loses most of its heat through the ends of your legs. So the further down your leg, the more heat it escapes. So having it in short form means that you'd still be losing heat when you're too hot. But when you get cold, your body draws in heat. So having a pair of shorts which are thermal would still allow you to be insulated enough to stay warm. The thing is, you'd have to make it out of this material. And the second thing is it'd have to be tight to your skin, because having it baggy, well, all the cold air would just go up the shorts and then it wouldn't work. Because you'd have to have it skin tight and this material and have it as a pair of shorts that would literally do what is often considered impossible. Keeps you warm when it's cold and keeps you cool when it's hot. Nobody's invented that. Why not? It's the ultimate item of clothing, but no one's invented it. If that existed, that'd save me a lot of weight of having to carry around less clothes. But sadly, nowhere on the internet sells a pair of shorts quite like it. And finally, let's now talk about trips abroad when I'm actually camping in the woods. Because on those trips, you've got quite a big problem with Ryanair's baggage allowance and the massive amount of extra weight of all my camping equipment. And now for the elephant in the room, going camping. So I want to save on cost. I don't have much money, so I camp in the woods. But the problem with that is I now have the weight of carrying about all of this, and also Ryanair's baggage allowance. Well, firstly, I can't use the little bag anymore. I have to swap it up for a bigger bag. So I'm now taking this bag. That's the hammock goes in. That's the underquilt. That's to keep me warm from underneath. That is synthetic, so that's quite heavy and quite big. I need to replace this. But it just about fits in that bag, as you can see, but I don't have much space left. I really have to be creative, having loads of big pockets in my coat and trying to fit as much in as possible. It's a challenge, but it is doable to get all of that onto Ryanair. Now, the actual sleeping bag itself, I wear this. So as I get on the plane, I ultimately pretend this is some sort of weird jacket, put it over my shoulder, and there you go, I'm now wearing the sleeping bag. So that's how I get that on the plane. Now, interestingly, this is a real duck sleeping bag. It's made of duck. And somehow, in 2025, science is still falling behind nature for thermal insulation compared with weight. Nature is still better than science. That is crazy. So duck, it's literally a duck. It goes quack. Well, it used to go quack for all the feathers got plucked out of it. But that is actually lighter weight compared to something synthetic. That's a lot heavier and not as firmly insulated for the underquilt. So that needs replacing, but that is expensive. So that concludes the video. What do I bring when I'm abroad? Well, it's a bit of a challenge, but it's still doable and I still save a lot of money, especially camping in the woods. It's definitely worth it. Yes, you do get rained out occasionally, which is really annoying, but generally speaking, I would highly recommend camping in the woods, especially when you're trying to save money. So that is the end of the video.